two girls screamed because a lizard fell out. So I had this lizard exploring my back. So Bina said, well, you're always writing about nature, now these creatures want to sleep with you too.
Ruskin Bond is a renowned author who lives among the mountains in Uttarakhand. Born in Kasauli, Himachal Pradesh, he grew up in Jamnagar, Gujarat, Dehradun and Shimla. He wrote his first book, The Room on the Roof, in 1956. Since then, he has authored more than 500 short stories, essays and novels with 70 plus books for children. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1992, the Padma Shri in 1999 and Padma Bhushan in 2014. In an interaction for the Forest of Life Festival, Ruskin talks about nature writing and his own journey as a writer. Let's watch it.
Even though you're a storyteller, your books and your essays, your pieces are replete with facts and interesting tidbits. Long before internet was so commonplace. How did you, include all these scientific thing in a very, sweet-coated them? I remember you said in one place that you said, I'd rather be a butterfly than a biologist.
Well, yeah, biologist or a botanist, you have to remember a lot of scientific names and Latin names. And whenever I used to wander about in the hills and discover wildflowers, I knew they had Latin names or, official names, but if I would just make up names for them. And I suppose that's the best thing to do, make up a name for a flower or a plant to help you recognize it. So why bother with...
And they won't object either.
No, and they won't object. So,
I saw a lot of books which had those Latin names. They had some interesting...
I might have, yeah, I guess.
There was some...
Maybe at that time... no, I didn't. I'll tell you a confession. In one of my books, I did a long piece on the flora of the Himalayas how it changes from, 1,000 feet to 2,000 feet and so on to 7,000. And I mentioned various flowers and trees. And I gave it to the publishers. And the publishers got hold of a botanist and put in the names of put in the Latin names of all these things. So I didn't object. So people thought I was very knowledgeable, but actually somebody else had gone to the trouble of giving the official names, you might say.
That's the one that I thought, and I was so impressed. I thought, oh, you are a butterfly, you are a biologist butterfly. No?
Yes. Well, of course, and there's so many. I mean, I envied those. My eyesight isn't that good, so I wouldn't always recognize a bird if I saw it on a tree or on the wall. But the sounds I might, and recognize it from the sound. And birds' song, the variety of sounds is wonderful. So I encourage people to become bird watchers, even if I'm too lazy myself to go and sit under a bush with a camera, wait for 2 or 3 hours sometimes. But I think bird watchers, I've noticed, are very balanced people, mature people. Maybe it's that get up early, you go out with your friends and your camera and spend a lot of time, patience, just to get a shot of a particular rare bird or an unusual one. I think it's wonderful. And the same for butterflies and flowers. And I always encourage youngsters, if they're interested, to become botanists or foresters or...
And you also have special fondness for trees.
Yes, yeah, true.
A lot about them.
No, I think it goes again back to childhood and the old banyan tree that grew near the house, and I used to explore it Lot of variety of birds in that tree. They'd come for the fruit, the figs, those wild figs, and and there was a jackfruit tree too.
Where you used to hide your stuff.
That's true, yes. And so we were fortunate then that so many of bungalows had fairly large gardens or orchards. There was more space. Space is, I think, is in short supply now. Maybe, and I think young people need space to, in which to explore the natural world around them. Living in cities is difficult, I think. Of course, they get used to it, but to be living in those huge apartment blocks, going to school morning, coming back in the evening, having to do your homework, where do you get a chance to explore nature? Very difficult for kids, except maybe on holidays. So when you do get a holiday, I tell them, go somewhere where there are open spaces, where there are hills, streams. Where there are streams, there will be greenery, and get to know the natural world.
So, in those trees, Banyan was, of course, your favorite, where you used to hide and you used to love hiding that from the humans and all.
Banyan and the people tree will come up anyway. It'll grow out of your roof if it gets a chance. And then, of course, the mango trees. Straight now, mango, I think you get throughout the country. I think there's no corner of the country where you won't get mango trees, except up here above. They come up to about 2,000 feet, and that's it. And so many.
I spoken about oaks.
Up here we get the oak, 2 or 3 kinds. Yes, the oak. A bit different to the oak that you will get in Europe or England. It's the indigenous oak. The acorn is the same, but the leaves and foliage is different. And the ferns, a tremendous variety of ferns on this range. And wherever there's streams or shady places, the ferns, there are many varieties of fern. And it used to be, but Missouri was once, this range was famous for its butterflies. I've seen in the archives of the Bombay Natural History Museum in Bombay, where they had some, and in the Forest Research Institute, collections of rare butterflies. Don't see them easily now. Don't see many. So I think a lot of insects and birds are going extinct, but so let's say what's left. Bangalore, you can grow a lot of things there. 5 years back, or 5 or little few more years back, there was a big flower show in that in those public gardens.
Yes, Lalbagh, sir.
Huh?
Lalbagh.
Yes, and there was a very impressive flower show. I remember, all kinds of flowers. I think the climate is there very good for. So
we had I feel Bangalore is like the Lalbagh is like Kew Gardens in that sense.
Yes.
So miniature version of a Kew garden.
Yeah, true enough. Yes, there's a great variety of the trees and plants.
Yes, and there's one mango tree which is supposedly there, which had been planted by Tipu Sultan. So yes, it's fascinating.
Yes.
That's it.
Saranpur used to have it long ago, a very good botanical garden, because that was once the headquarters of the Botanical Survey in North India in the old days, but it's been neglected, I'm afraid. And Calcutta had good botanical garden, but it's a bit far out.
There are a lot of animals in your story.
Oh, yes, true now.
Dancing fox, leopard, Timothy, the tiger.
Yes, people say I have an obsession with leopards. Well, the leopard is a great survivor. I think we probably do have more leopards today than we did 50 years back, because they know how to survive. They can climb well. climb steep hillsides, trees. They can hide, and they can beautifully. Tigers are more into the open, so tigers need protection now, but leopards more or less look after themselves, and sometimes they become a menace too. Again, animals like the musk deer are very few left, I believe. Our snow leopards are rare, but
So, but even when you talk about these animals, there's immense amount of empathy that, like I for instance, the way you talk about snakes, you kind of rule the fact that people will bring sticks and kill them. Or I remember there's this in one place you're talking about a leopard and how there were some shikaris were.
Yes, so that leopard was sort of they never bothered anyone. It was known, in fact, to the villagers and the people in that area were quite used to seeing it around. And it was only when the shikaris came, because, well, in those days it was open. Shooting was allowed, hunting was allowed, and so usually for the skin or for the various body parts, they would shoot big cats. Again, when the forests revealing it, naturally it's the animals who lose their.
So why I'm saying this is because when you read Kipling, the forest there is very dangerous place to be in. Then you read Corbett, where you have the man-eaters of Rudraprayag or Kumaon. And then when you read your books, the animals, while they are in the wild, but they're not so,
Yes, we don't see them as a threat.
Yes.
Sometimes you hear of a leopard attacking people outside of it. Again, it's very often because the human habitation is spread into the wild areas or forest areas, and so you get this conflict. Otherwise, animals keep to themselves, and they normally would shy away and be shy of human beings. And back in 100 years ago, there were doubtlessly man-eaters, and a hunter like Jim Corbett happened to be a pretty good writer too, so he made a good thing out of writing about all the man-eaters he'd shot. And I don't doubt his ability as a hunter, or his so-called love for the forests or nature. Yes, but Shikar was considered a sort of manly thing or a great thing to go out with a gun and shoot a big animal, a tiger or a leopard or an elephant even, It goes back to the time of the British viceroys and the Rajas, who would also take them out on these hunting expeditions. So people came out to India expecting to shoot tigers. Yeah. And if a few tigers took their revenge and consumed the odd sahab, it well and good. The other day, there's a little tiny veranda there where it's warm and sunny, and I got some geraniums. So I was sitting there reading, and I felt something tickling me here. And I thought maybe it's an insect or a leaf. So anyway, I shook it. And then I stopped. Then I could feel something crawling around. Yeah? And I thought, is it a spider or something, So I called Rakesh's wife, Beena. I said, just there's something gone down my back. So I lifted up my shirt and vestige, and they both, the two girls screamed because a lizard fell out. Yeah? So I had this lizard exploring my back. So Beena said, well, you're always writing about nature. Now these creatures want to sleep with you too.
But I remember we have spoken once that you wanted to keep a snake.
No, I'm not. I wouldn't keep. I'm a bit not scared of snakes, but my grandfather did.
Yeah.
So a lot of those early stories about some of the creatures my grandfather kept, and he had briefly a python which frightened everyone in the house.
No, but I love that story about Timothy the tiger, the way the
Right, yes. That's a true story. Right, and he went up to the wrong tiger and started.
I kind of, I think it's such an amazing story.
Yes, and the tiger was so surprised it didn't say anything either.
You have also spoken some very interesting. You wanted to start a frog farm.
Frog, that was it. We actually did. I think that was my uncle Ken. He created a fountain, and the idea was to have fish in it, but instead we had frogs because the tadpoles had taken over. So we had frogs all over the place. Yeah, so we did funny things. Well, it showed the man and nature and man and animal can coexist together. And certainly man and nature should be able to. We are part of nature after all. Lucky we have minds to think and and survive and make something of our lives.
It's also comes from the theme that the difficult belief that man's dominance over nature.
Yes, right. They wanted to dominate. It was a sort of macho thing.
Yes.
To hunt, yes, and to because there was no way in which the animal could retaliate unless it took you by surprise. Oh.
So how do you mix this thing? The whole the Western thought, if you say, the Western belief is that the one of dominance on nature. But if you go closer to the Indian ethos, it was always about, coexist.
Yes, right.
But do you see that changing now?
Yes, it is changing because we don't look on hunting or shikar now as a romantic or a particularly as a decent pastime. It's looked down upon now. Certainly here, and in many other countries too. It's only perhaps in North America or one or two countries where it's still sort of considered a good pastime to go out and over there they would be shooting probably deer or wild buffalo or something because they won't usually they won't have the kind of animals that we have, for one thing.
Sir, one more thing, sir. How do you climate change is a reality now?
Yes. Yes, we sort of seem to deny it for a long time, but nevertheless, it's pretty obvious that it is there, and manifesting itself in so many ways, with either extreme temperatures one way or the other, or floods, or yes, every now and then you see sort of an Arctic blasts in North America, or glaciers melting, and it's happening. Maybe not very, and it's happening faster than it used to, I think.